Welcome to the Brutally Honest Podcast, hosted by Harrison Barron and sponsored by the Nerds That Care, your full-service IT solutions. Everything from software to hardware, security infrastructure, and a lot of those times you need to call them when you're just pissed off, you can't open up the web page, you can't print, and basically anything in between. They'll take care of. They have a nice friendly staff, a nice little help center. We specialize in antivirus and things of that nature as well. So if you get a virus and you need your computer cleaned, kids going on websites they probably shouldn't, you bring it down, you get it all cleaned out. It's like a tune-up for your car. So stop by the Nerds That Care, located over in Bohemia. They're great people. And let them know Harrison sent you. And on that note, John motherfucking Keil back on the show. Oh, I was so excited for this one.
That's an introduction, brother.
Right?
Yeah, man.
So we were rambling. We've rambled and rambled.
You know, we gotta. What we have to do is turn on the microphones the second I walk in. We did this last time too. We for those listening, I walk in, we start. You know, I haven't seen him since the last podcast, which was probably like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
now.
You're a busy man. You're a busy man to get a hold of.
Yeah, you know, and well, it's because of the kids, to be honest. But yeah, so I haven't seen you in like 2 months. So we walk in, hey, what's up, blah blah blah. And next thing you know, we're rambling on. It's like, oh shit, we should have the microphones on for this. And then we're like, all right, let's turn them on. And then we ramble on about something else. wait, we gotta put the microphones on. So they're on. They're on.
So
thanks
now
for having me, man. I'm really stoked.
Hey, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
So we were rambling on about Yetis, and you're like, why the fuck do you have all these Yetis, Harrison? And I was like, all right. So anybody who doesn't know, Yeti is a ridiculously overpriced brand. But you kind of get what you pay for the most part. Their products are extremely good. Is there competitors? Of course. Every fucking market has competitors. So I was telling John my story the other day and this is how I ended up with more Yetis than I fucking can drink out of at one time. I go to Dick's, and I had to do just a simple return. I bought rain gear, ripped immediately. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like, it was a joke of rain gear. So I was like, all right, let me go back there and return it. So I go there and return it. I walk in, I'm like, wow, Yetis are on sale. That's like MacBooks going on sale
it doesn't happen.
For drinkware. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, awesome. I was like, I don't know if I can really I already have one. I mean, how many more do I really need?
So you bought 6.
Yeah, essentially. But here's the catch. So I was like, I'm not going to buy them. And then I go to do my return, but now I figured out when you go to Dick's and you do a return, you get 15% off to the whole store for 3 hours on your next purchase. So you could do some fucking damage.
So you got the 25 off of the Yeti, then an additional 15 off.
Yeah.
What if you went back inside after you bought them, returned the Yetis, you get another 15%? So then all of a sudden, you're another 15%. So
no, I'm sure there's
55%.
Oh my God, I'm sure that they have some kind of
some safeguards.
Yeah, some safeguards. But it was only drinkware. It wasn't the cooler. And I was like, I don't know if I could justify $200 or so for a cooler, but I could definitely justify $100 to $150. I'm like, $200 is a little crazy, but
Yeah, but these are the obviously, if you're listening to the show, you can't see them, but these are the Yetis that you put your can of beer in, you put your bottle of beer in, whatever it may be.
I'm pissed I didn't buy more of these things.
Right. Well, but you're going to use these a whole lot more often than you're going to use a cooler.
Oh, yeah. And that's the other reason why I was like, all right, I could do that.
Yeah, and not only that, when you do use a cooler, it's for the day. It's not like you need to keep something cold for 7 days.
Unless you're doing one of those deep sea fishing, you're out on the water for an extended period of time.
Or if they do another Woodstock.
Yes.
You go.
Yes. When you're out there,
you're
grinding,
gone for days, and you need to be drunk for days. You need a Yeti cooler.
Because nobody's keeping anything worthwhile.
That's the new tagline. When you need to be drunk for days, Yeti coolers.
Now the real question is, if you need to be drunk for days, you're probably not with the right people. If you're killing a cooler over the course of a week, that shit should be gone after a day.
They should only be full for a day. Either that or you're hanging out with the wrong people. This is great. I'm here. We're going to talk about my business, how professional I am. I've already cursed 3 times, and we're talking about getting bombed.
Of course. Why not? Why not? So, all right.
Welcome to the Brutally Honest
welcome to the podcast. I hope everybody's fucking riled up. All right, so talking about the business, I know that you came in here all fired up and pretty excited to hear about it, and I already did hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, so when I was here the last time, I had just gotten back from Michigan, where I have 2 partners in Michigan. They're brothers. So I just gotten back from my first trip, I shouldn't say my first trip to Michigan. My first trip to Michigan regarding WatchGauge, which is the name of the business, WatchGauge. So it was really very, very in the very beginning of it, where we were talking about it was all strategy, ideas, thoughts. Nothing had been done at that point. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. So with that, we've been doing nothing but working our tails off. We've got, they have an in-house IT guy. This guy, Johnny's phenomenal. So it's Ara and Armin, who are the two brothers, and this guy, John, who's, I guess, our technical director. He's amazing. But since then, we've also picked up an illustrator, a designer, a graphic designer. The main focus is from their standpoint, they're going to operate out of Michigan, where they're going to do all of the technology stuff. They're going to do all the billing of the website and anything technology related, and all the accounting and things like that will be done out of there. I'm going to be doing all the physical operations, as well as I'm going to be the main liaison with all the brands that we're carrying. So the long and the short of it is that we got into it before we started recording, but the watch industry, which I've been in for 18 years, I've always been in the high-end side of the industry, the super expensive stuff, shouldn't say super, but starting at $2,000 and going up to $500,000. That was the world I lived in. Over the last
$2,000 is still a lot of money.
Oh, sure.
On a fucking watch.
That's the whole thing, and that's one of the reasons we're getting into WatchGauge, and I'll explain that in a second. But so for 18 years I lived in this world that people would buy a $10,000-$15,000 watch, and when I got into the business, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe people pay this for a watch.
Yeah.
By the time I was getting out of that sector, or at least the retail side of it, I was like, sold another $50,000 watch today. It was no big deal. So that was the kind of world I lived in.
Crazy.
So what's going on in the industry is the high-end industry is not doing great. It hasn't been doing great for years, and it doesn't seem like it's going to do any better in the next couple of years. So
it's harder and harder for people to buy. I think justifying it.
There's a ton of reasons behind it, but not only that. I mean, think about the people that do have plenty of money to buy them, because the economy's not that great. I've heard from clients, I just don't want to wear a $20,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 watch when my friends can't pay their mortgages or whatever it may be. It's just the times have changed a little bit, I think.
Oh wow,
but there's a lot of other things going on too, where the Swiss, where all the high-end watches are from, most of them are from, for years they started manufacturing more and more watches because Asia was doing great, China was doing great, Hong Kong. Those markets tanked about 4 or 5 years ago. So now, instead of those brands saying, okay, well, we're making this many watches, but we can sell, let's say they know from their demographics or their studies they can sell 40,000 watches. They're still making 60,000 watches.
Yeah.
Like China's still, buying a third of their pieces, but they're not. So at the end of the year, they're stuck with 20,000 watches, and all of a sudden it gets dumped on what's called the gray market. Little plug here, if you want to know what the gray market is, go to quillandpad.com. I wrote a great post on the gray market about that. But
what do they just give them away for cheap?
Well, what it is that at the end,
explain, because now I'm curious.
More or less. So at the end of the year, when a brand is stuck with excess inventory, they will go to what's called the quote-unquote gray market, and the gray market is just another sales channel.
Is that like a website, or?
Well, it's going to be a bunch of websites. It's going to be individuals who are not part of their normal retail network. So let's say, for instance, to make it really simple, you want to buy a MacBook, right? You go to the Apple store.
Yeah.
Now imagine Apple is stuck with millions of extra MacBooks. Imagine them going to every other small retailer, mom and pop shop out there, and say, hey, we're going to give them to you for 10 cents, 20 cents on the dollar, and you can sell them at 40 cents on the dollar. Just because Apple wants to get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
So the watch industry is doing something similar like that, and they're going to these known entities who will be willing to buy $1 million, $2 million, $3 million worth of product in one shot and write a check. Now, these guys are dumping them all on websites. I'm not going to plug the websites because I'm not a big fan, but there are websites out there where you search a Breitling, a Tag, Omega, or whatever other brand, and you can see, if you just Google it, you're going to see sites come up that are like 60% off, 50% off. Meanwhile, the retail store is only paying 40 off. Their normal retail channels are paying 40 off for a watch. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you and I as a Joe consumer can go and buy the watch for less online than the retailers themselves. So the industry is just completely fucked up right now in a bad way. Does it mean you can't make money? Does it mean you can't survive? No, of course, you can get out there and you can do your thing and make money. And I have been for the last bunch of years, and my partners out in Michigan they've got a high-end store and they're doing well, mainly because they're making the right moves, they're carrying the right brands that don't dump on the gray market, things like that. But getting back, so this whole watch gauge thing came about last May. I was out in Michigan delivering a custom project that I did. I do custom watches for real high-end watches for individuals, but I was out in Michigan delivering to a client 20 watches that we custom made for him. They were about $25,000 a piece. And
do I know about this?
That was the one that we spoke about on the last podcast, and I'm not allowed to really talk about it.
That's fine. I just want to make sure it was the same one that I was thinking about.
Yeah. So the client is real, wants to be private about it. So it's rule number one. So I was delivering the watches out in Michigan. My partners now in this business are an arm, and I've known for 18 years. So I said, guys, I'm going to be in town. I haven't seen you in 2-3 years. I talk to them all the time, but I haven't seen them. I said, let's grab dinner. So we ended up grabbing dinner, and they said, we're talking about the industry and how all the stuff we were just talking about, the gray market and how hard it is to make a buy where it used to be really super much easier anyway. So then they said, well, what do you think the future is? Where is there money to be made? Where is there a living to be made in the watch industry with all this shit that's going on? Mm. So the one thing that came out of my the instant thought was micro brands. And they were like, what the fuck are micro brands? Yeah. So a micro brand is basically these brands, and this is turning to a long story, but
go for it, man. This is the fucking place to tell it.
Cool. So, Kickstarter's out there, right? All these crowdfunding sites are out there.
Absolutely. I try to send them to you whenever I can. I see.
Yeah, exactly. You send me a couple of Kickstarter campaigns about watches, right? So, think about 10 years ago. Pretend you're a designer, or you're a guy who works in wherever in the world you work, but you love watches and you've got some great ideas for a great design. You would have to go to friends or family or find an investor to give you $50,000, $100,000, so you can go out and get prototypes made, have a run 100 watches made, whatever it may be, to try to start that business.
It's not cheap.
Nobody did it then. It was very, very difficult to start your own watch business. Since the crowdfunding sites came about, now there are literally hundreds and hundreds of new brands coming out every year. Mm-hmm. Most of them are priced under $1,000. Most of them are the same garbage. And I don't mean to knock Daniel Wellington, if you're familiar with that brand. Daniel Wellington is a brand it's a minimalistic watch. It's very, very simple looking, but they were the first ones to do it, and they're selling hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of watches now. It was started by one guy who had a great idea. The challenge is now that all these crowdfunding sites, all these watch campaigns on the crowdfunding sites, they all look like a Daniel Wellington. So with that, there are a very small number of watch brands that are coming out because of these crowdfunding
oh my
sites.
God. Yeah,
it's
everybody
and
everybody and their mother has a watch.
There are
like
190 to make those Daniel Wellingtons, and and they have a great business model, but everybody in the world is now trying to do that. But again, there's a small handful of guys who are real designers, have real ideas, and coming out with really, really cool watches under $1,000. These watches also have a lot of what a fine Swiss watch would have. They'd have sapphire crystals, automatic movements, what they call 316L stainless steel, which is the best stainless steel you could put in a watch. They're doing all the right things as far as manufacturing-wise, but they're small brands. There are guys who just have a great idea, great design. They put up a crowdfunding site. They get funded. They make watches. Most of these crowdfunding campaigns don't work. The ones that are cool, the ones that work, now they have a brand, right? So they created a couple hundred watches. They sold them through the crowdfunding. They sell them through their website. But then they get to the point, at that point, where they're like, well, gee, we're going to make our second model or second watch or a couple different color variations. But holy crap, how do we sell these things? If we're not going to sell them on crowdfunding sites, and how are we going to get the traffic on our website? These guys aren't in the sales business or the watch sales business, right?
Yeah, they have no idea.
And not only that, their consumer, their audience is familiar with them. They're not familiar with all the other cool brands, micro brands out there. So Watch Gauge, these are things I was explaining to R&R in that dinner that night. And I kind of said, that's where the money is at. And they're like, well, how would you go about it? Or R even said, he goes, what would you do? Build a website and bring these brands into one central location and represent them and sell them? I said, that's exactly what we do.
You hit the nail on the head. Thanks.
Yeah, it was exactly. Because I don't even think I could articulate it at that point. And we kind of had the dinner. We had a couple beers. We talked for a couple hours, and I went on my merry way. I delivered those other watches the next day, and I left Michigan. I came home. I'd given a couple thoughts about it, but never really went anywhere. And then about 6 months ago, Ara called me out of the blue. I was in my car. I'll never forget it. And I'm like, hello? And he goes, were you serious? That's all he said. I'm like, about what? and meanwhile, I had to look at my phone to see who's even on the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, about what? He goes, that micro brand thing. You serious about that? I said, I was a heart attack. I said, these brands have nowhere to go to sell their watches except their own websites and crowdfunding.
Yeah.
There's no community that actually brings these brands together. Now, don't get me wrong. On Facebook and here and there, you're going to find groups that are enthusiastic, have enthusiast
Absolutely.
groups, but there's nowhere that's going to be kind of, I don't want to say the authority, but somewhere that is almost like the ringleader. And that's kind of the goal. So in the last 5 months or 6 months, I spent hours and hours and days and weeks going through just whether it's social media, whether it's websites, whether it's blogs, whatever it may be, trying to pinpoint the best of the best when it comes to micro brands. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done a really good job. So we've got about 15 brands, maybe 12 to 15 brands that we're going to start with, we're going to launch with. And every single one of these brands. Now, as I was talking, I came from the high-end world, right? I'm used to, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but the world I came from, I was wearing $5,000, $10,000 watches. Every brand that we're carrying for WatchGauge that are under $1,500, most cases under $1,000, and some as little as $300 or $400.
Now, will you make the exception at any point to taking a watch that's
it'll be
5,
a game day
10?
decision. It'll be a game day decision.
Okay.
I mean, if not 5 or 10,000, it just would totally defeat our purpose. I think if we're dealing with a brand and we're doing well with it, and all of a sudden they make one model that has got a special movement, and now it's $2,000, 1,800. You know what? Sure, we'll slide that in there.
Yeah, I guess. Once you're dealing with the brand, if they do beef it up a little bit, you kind of got to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really made it click is we were talking at that dinner. We were talking about their store. Now, R&R own a store, and they carry Audemars Piguet and Hublot and a bunch of really high-end brands, $15,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 watches. So kind of making my case for what the micro brand business model would be, I said, how many people are going to walk past your store in a day? And they gave a number. I said, okay, what percentage of those people walking by your store can afford to come in here and spend $20,000, $15,000, $10,000 on a watch? And they said, gee, maybe 1%, maybe 2%.
If that.
Right, so whatever it may be. I said, okay, now take a $500 watch, for instance, that's really cool, automatic sapphire crystal, really well made. How many people do you know walking by your store would be able to afford that $500 watch? And they said, probably 95 out of 100. I said, that's right. I said, there's our market. Now our market are my friends who are cops and teachers and, they're anybody. My nephew can buy a $500 watch if he wants to, and he's 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, it's
not a piece of shit.
No, it's a great watch. And not to mention, I mean, people are going to spend, what, $300-400 on an Apple Watch, right? I don't know what they go for.
They go for almost $1,000 now.
I won't even put one of those on my wrist, but think about this. They're spending, even if they're spending $300 or $400 or $500 or $1,000, whatever they're spending, that technology is going to be absolutely gone in 2 or 3 years. That watch is going in the garbage in 2 or 3 years. Take a mechanical, well-made watch for $800, $900. That damn thing can be on your wrist literally for 100 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's I've got at home my grandfather's Breitling from 1947, and the thing runs perfectly.
Oh wow, these actually came down quite a bit in price.
What, the Apple Watches?
Yeah, they're $270 now.
Right.
This one's $650, $700.
Yeah, but even at $250, you're throwing that away in 2 years. You spend $1,000 or $800 or
$1,500.
Yeah, so that the point is pretty simple. That if people like the whole idea of a watch or an accessory that they can have for many years, that's going to treat them well. When we say automatic movement, for those who don't know what that means, there's no battery in this thing. It springs and gears, and it runs off the motion of your wrist. Yeah. Right. So we kind of joke around. We pitch it. Hey, if you're into being green with solar and all that stuff, look, don't put a battery in your watch. Wear an automatic, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's a bunch of different reasons why somebody would buy an automatic.
You want to know what's fucked up too? I have a Seiko at home, and it has the bullshit solar panel thing on there.
Yeah, solar.
Yeah, and it has a battery in it. And I've literally had it for 3 years, and and don't get me wrong, it's a great watch, but it only lasts like 3 or 4 months, and then I have to send it out to Seiko to get it revamped, and it's literally half the price of the watch. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I almost want to have them fix it and just sell it. Because this is now this will be now the third time I have to send it out to Seiko because there's a battery in it and something with the solar panel, whatever it is. Yeah. My and this sounds hysterical, but my automatic Fossil watch.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dead. Hold on one second. Let me put it on, shake it around a little bit, and
you wind it up. It's a spring. It's a gear.
Done. It's done. And I never have to worry about it.
Never. I mean, and what happens with an automatic watch is if you wear it, let's say you wear it, for a day or you wear it for 10 days, whatever you wear it for, if you put it down, it's going to continue to run for about 2 days. Yeah. Right? About 42 hours is what they get. If you pick it up 5 days later, all you have to simply do is set it really quickly, put it on your wrist, move around a little bit, and there you go. And it's running. It will run. You'll never have to do anything to it. It'll run until you take it off for 2 days.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons. And the other thing is this. What do guys have, right? Unless you're a Guido from the Jersey Shore, or and
I'm triggered.
Yeah, that's it. And if you're not, I don't know about you. I don't wear jewelry, right? I'll wear a watch. I'll wear a watch. That's it. And it can be an extension of what your personality is.
I don't even like a necklace.
No, I don't either.
Once in a blue moon, a necklace.
I hate to say it, I don't even wear my wedding band anymore because I just find it uncomfortable at this point. And I told my wife, she's like, "Why don't you wear your band?" I said, "I'm just not comfortable. I'll get it tattooed for that matter. It's nothing to do with not wearing a band. I don't like jewelry." Yeah. And now it's funny because I haven't worn my wedding band in a few years because I used to work in a suit and tie and I would wear it every day. That's kind of like the mold, right? But when I went out on my own and I wear flip flops and jeans and whatever else, I just stopped wearing the wedding band, right? And so it's not about having like it on, but then when we do get dressed up, or not even dressed up, but if we're going out somewhere and I put on a nice watch and I put on my wedding band, I feel like I'm gaudy. I feel like I'm too flashy.
Yeah.
So to me,
like I'm too flashy.
Yeah. So to me, it's a watch is a guy's that's their accessory, man. That and your phone, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just whatever. I have my gigantic iPhone 7 now.
Yeah, my phone makes no statement at all, man.
What do you? Oh, you have the 5.
I have the 5 SE, man. You know why? I keep it in my front pocket of my jeans, and I can't fit a damn 7 or 6 in there.
I guess I have big pockets.
Yeah, well.
So you know what?
We'll leave that one alone.
yeah. I had the 6, and the 6 just wasn't keeping up with the daily grind, and people are like, you're on your phone a lot. I'm like, well, I'm answering emails, I'm checking social media. Now that I have a podcast, I'm just trying. Your goal is to produce content, just content, checking sites. You're communicating with friends. I'm constantly texting friends to get them on the show.
Yeah.
I'm constantly going back to my
texting other
calendar.
friends to tell people to go listen to the show because somebody was just on it. Yeah. Right, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, okay. So my 6 was just crawling.
Yeah.
And I was just, and there were so many times where I was just like, I have the 6 here, and it's really pissing me off, and it would probably do better on the side of the road while I'm driving. And there's so many times where I've almost rolled down the window and just
tossed it.
Yep. I'll just go get another one.
Yeah.
This is way too slow, and I was trying to hold out to the next iPhone.
Right, the 8.
Yeah, 8, 10, whatever the fuck they're gonna name it at this point. But I was trying to hold out to the next one, and I was like, you know what? Let me get this one. I'll sell it when the new one comes out. I'll just buy the new one.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I'm hoping that they make a small version, for little guys like me with little pockets. Yeah, man. Oh. And not only that, I can text with one hand. I can have the phone in one hand and text.
That is one thing I have to say. I do this about just the regular 7 the regular size.
Yeah, the regular.
That was great.
My wife's got the 7. I don't know. She's got the regular size 7 too. I was looking at the other one. I'm like, this is like carrying an iPad around.
The one biggest thing that I've seen though with this thing is this camera.
Oh, I know. It's bananas, right?
Fucking
I know.
Crazy good.
I know.
I was at my buddy's graduation ceremony to get and he was being sworn into the Air Force as a second lieutenant. And I saw other people taking the photos, and I'm taking the photos. And not only is mine 10 times clearer, which is crazy because it's only a year or two newer, but the fucking colors are popping.
Well, the display helps. Because the display makes those color pops too. But you're absolutely right. We went to Niagara a month ago or whatever with the kids.
This is as good as a baseline DSLR
Well,
camera.
I kept saying to
for
my
the
wife,
most part.
I'm like, you know, take pictures. And she's like, you take pictures. I'm like, your camera's better. So like, you know, because she's got the 7.
Yeah.
Because the camera's much better.
Yeah,
It really is.
And the
far
and
better.
then and now I don't know if you even knew this, but you get the zoom feature on here. So for example, I could have that, and then I could also I could touch because it's got the 2 cameras on it. So I could zoom,
Right.
which is huge because then you got to do the digital zoom and it pixelates everything. So
Yeah.
if I'm just like, oh, you know, I don't have that extra 2 or 3 feet to grab,
Yeah.
or if I do and I just want to go to that next camera.
Yeah.
I know this is not a plug-in for Apple.
No, not at all.
Because they've been, and I've shit on them quite a few times because they're just not on their A game with a lot of stuff. But oh, good, we can recycle. And help yourself to another beer if you'd like one.
Well, thank you, sir.
But it was just the second camera is so nice.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm hoping that when they do come out with the 8 or 10 or whatever the hell they're gonna call it, then I'm hoping they make a small version.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I was shitting on them because their computer game is just not. It slacks.
Yeah.
It slacks pretty hard.
I agree.
Lately, more than now that R.I.P. Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
But Tim Cook, I just don't think brings the same caliber as Steve Jobs did.
The challenge I have is if you get a PC with certain specs and you get a Mac with certain specs, that Mac's costing you 3 times as much.
Oh, without
two times as much.
Without a doubt.
And then at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't see any added benefit. Like if there was added benefit.
Yeah. For the consumer side,
Yeah.
Apple is great.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to fuck that thing up.
Yeah, no, I use a MacBook for random personal stuff.
Yeah. But as far as like a business or anything, gaming, basically anything that's not, oh, I need to share my photos on Facebook. Like you should probably have a PC. And for the amount of money that you spend, yeah, like you said, you could spend $2,000 on a MacBook, and it's probably not even the top tier. You could literally get a top tier Dell, Lenovo, HP, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And it'll blow it out of the water.
Absolutely. I was talking with our tech director today, John, because I signed a new lease for some space that I'm getting keys for tomorrow, which is pretty cool.
Where is it?
Bayport. It's right on Montauk Highway in Bayport.
No fucking way.
Corner of Montauk and McConnell. Yeah, where the Shaolin karate studios.
Yeah.
I'm right in that building.
No way.
Yeah, facing that car wash.
Oh boy,
it's a great space.
That's hysterical.
I was looking at spaces over here where you're at in Bohemia, and everything was 16, 1700 feet and more, which I don't need at this point.
Yeah.
And
you can probably get by with a room this big for the most part.
Well, I'm going to need a bit more storage than this, and I'm also going to be doing a lot of video out of it, so I'm going to need a big section for a green screen and a bunch of other things. Yeah. But so this place popped up on LoopNet, which is like the MLS for commercial.
MLS.
Multiple listing service. So when you're buying a house, you go to MLS. And when you're looking at commercial property, you go to LoopNet. And so I was looking at LoopNet, and this thing popped up, and it's right in that building. It's 1,150 square feet. It's literally 9/10 of a mile from my house, and it couldn't be better. So I signed the lease last week. I finally got all the docs over today, and get the keys tomorrow, man.
Congratulations,
stoked
man.
about that. Yeah, I'm very stoked. So what was I saying before I said something? I said that
we were talking about Max being a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I was talking to John, my tech director. That's right. Because now
Max aren't a piece of shit, by the way.
They're
slacking on the tech game a little bit
for business and certain things. They're just not as good for the money, especially.
Yes.
So I was talking to him, and I said, you got to set me up with a computer, this, that, and the other. So we were talking about that. I said, and I do use my MacBook on a personal level. I have a PC in my office now, but I need a better one. And so I said, what do you suggest? Should I get a Mac? He's not a Mac guy. He's not an Apple guy. So he's like, no. He's like, for under $2,000, we're gonna set you up with a machine that's gonna be banana. It's gonna be crazy.
You should have called me.
I should have, but this guy works for us already, man.
All right. I can't really.
And he's got a corporate credit card, so he's just going to buy the damn thing and send it to me.
Fair enough.
So things are rocking and rolling. I brought 2 watches with me to just to show you kind of the thing I'm doing. The strange thing is, like, all right, so when we talked about that other project that I did that I'm not allowed to say what it was for, for that super high end watch. These I don't want to tell you the names of on the air because our launch is going to be pretty cool. So because we're trying to go at this as a you go to any watch site or make it a shoe site or sneaker site or a clothes site for that matter. You go to any e-com site. It's basically a mini Amazon.
Yes.
And these people are looking to compete with Amazon, which is stupid. So
you're never going to compete with Amazon.
You know. So you go to any watch site there, and I'm not knocking them. There's some great guys out there running some good sites who you could buy watches from. But you get there, and it's the same thing. It's you have a filter by brand, you filter by size, you filter by price, you style, whatever it may be, and it looks like a mini Amazon, albeit different colors and different positions. Our launch is going to be quite a bit different. So we're officially launching. I think our landing page will be up tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
But our official launch is going to be July 6th.
Okay.
So on July 6th, you're going to get to our site, and there's going to be nothing to buy. You can't buy a thing on July 6th when we open, which sounds strange. Would you open a retail store? Right.
That's
so
fucked up.
basically, there's going to be a video front and center of me explaining what watch gauge is, who we are, where we came from, why we're doing what we're doing. Basically, a better articulated version of what we just spoke about.
Yeah.
Then on July 11th, we're going to launch our first brand. Okay, so
is it either one of the ones?
It is.
In front of me?
It's this one.
Okay.
And the funny thing is this watch that I'm holding that I brought him. I don't want to say the name because you're going to have to, people.
Can we give him a hint? I'll give him a hint.
Okay.
Both watch brand names are after animals.
It's okay. Yeah, it's true. I didn't think about the other one. The other one's the guy's last name, but it happens to be a name that's an animal. Right. Never thought about that. That works.
I just thought about that while you were saying that.
Yeah, go figure that out, guys. So what it is that
actually, I'll give a little plug in right now. If anybody contacts me who can figure out the two watches that are in front of us, and one is silver and one is black, I'll buy half your watch. I will buy half your watch.
Okay.
Out of my pocket.
You're going to get 1,000 people, hopefully, just yelling animal names at you.
Maybe.
All right. So
maybe.
So what we're going to do is, July 6th, we're going to launch the site. You can go to the site. You're going to see the video of what we are.
The first person. We'll go with the first person.
Yes.
I can't afford 1,000 people.
Yeah. Okay. No, of course. But I'm saying that one person's going to be it. So then what's going to happen is you'll have the opportunity to follow us on all social channels and whatever it may be and sign up for a newsletter. But so then on the 11th, which I believe is a Tuesday, so July 11th, we're actually going to launch that first brand. That first brand, oddly enough, you would think as a guy in my position, I want to sell as many watches as possible to make money, right? We're getting 10 of these. 10 pieces. Not 10 models, not 10 colors, we're getting 10 pieces. The reason being is that this particular watch that I'm holding that's going to be our first launch is the guys made their first 500 pieces. That's all they made when they originally launched as a brand. They're almost completely sold out, and they've allotted 10 pieces to us. So those 10 pieces, once they're sold, they're gone. You can't get them again. They're limited edition. They're numbered. Then the brand will not have another watch come out until probably the end of August. So on the 11th, we're going to launch. We're going to have that one watch to sell. We're going to have 10 watches of that one piece, right? So you're going to buy those. The following week, we're going to launch brand number 2,
which is
not the other watch that's sitting here.
Okay.
It's another brand. This brand has a little bit more. They're certainly allotting us more watches. There's more variety. During that, in between the 6th and the 11th, we're going to be teasing the first brand. In between the 11th and the 18th, we're going to be teasing the next brand. So, and then we're going to follow along that path for the next 2.5 months or so. So
fucked up.
It's going to be kind of building that anticipation. Hopefully, if you're a watch guy and you're liking what you see so far in the beginning, in the first week or two, hopefully you'll look forward to every Tuesday. What launch? What brand are we going to launch? And every brand is completely different. So it's going to be that creating of that anticipation, that excitement, sort of wanting to log on and follow us on Instagram and wherever else to see what we're doing. Then with that, what I think is pretty cool.
Are they all going to have a rubber band, by the way?
No. There's going to be that
on the
one's,
first 10.
Yeah, that's actually going to come on rubber, and it's going to have a leather in the box. So you're going to have both strap options on that piece.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll be one of the first buyers.
There you go.
I'll be one of the 10.
Yeah, works for me. Works for me. It's a cool piece. It's a really cool watch.
I mean, nobody can really see this. Well, actually, I'm going to hold it up to the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to see the brand.
That's okay. You can do it. So one of the things to mention with this watch, right, is that the whole case is made of materials that you would find in a stupid high-end watch.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because this is like growing on me now.
It's actually very light. So the top portion of the case is ceramic, which you can't scratch, you can't dent, you cannot hurt ceramic. So it's ceramic with a sapphire crystal covering the face, right? Then underneath that, there's a thin red aluminum, inner case, which just gives it a pop of color. And then the main portion of the case is actually a material called forged carbon. So forged carbon you find in $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 watches. This watch retailing for under $1,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, automatic movement. So
that's great value.
It's kind of it's the reason we're getting into this. I mean, I'm a watch nerd. I love watches, but that doesn't mean that I'm in love with high-end watches only or expensive watches only. I get just as excited and stoked about a G-Shock for $100 as I would about a $3,000 watch. I just happen to enjoy watches.
You want to know what's fucked up about my G-Shock too? Battery's dead.
Of course, man.
Fucking batteries, man.
Batteries die, man. They last 3 years, 4 years.
And we don't have a funeral for them. We don't have a ceremony. Every time batteries die.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like
sad.
It's kind of like that family member you just didn't like. You just take it easy, man. Buy battery.
I do really like this watch. It's great. I just wish the band was a little bit longer because I have a really large wrist. But other than that, I love this. This watch is actually growing on me really fast.
Yeah, it's cool. The other thing that's cool about this price point, this market we're getting involved in,
it's not bad.
Well, what's great about it too for us and for our clients is that you would conceivably have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 watches over time, right? I know a lot of guys who go out and buy their Rolex Submariner. They'll never buy another watch again in their life.
That's so sad. That
it
makes
is
me so sad.
Well, it's true. I mean,
because I want one.
Well, they buy that watch. It works with swimsuit. It works with a suit. It works with the tux. It works with almost any outfit. So most guys will buy their Rolex. They'll put it on. And don't get me wrong, it's a great watch. But when
you've never owned a Rolex, right?
Never.
Oof. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute after this story.
So
I know you wrote an article about it.
Yeah, I did. I actually read that. Nice. You were the one?
Somebody Billy made a joke on the podcast. He's like, yeah, I hope none of your listeners. It was something like along the lines like, I hope none of all of your one listeners are going to be mad at me or anything like that. I was like, God damn you, Billy.
Hey, look, man, things need to grow, right?
He's like, your mom's a nice person. It's good she supports you. I was like, fuck. Walked into that one.
It's not true. I listened to like 2 or 3 of them.
I appreciate that.
So like when in this segment, right, in the 500, 800, 900, you might buy a watch like the one you just held up to the camera that's black and sporty. And
it's a nice watch, and it's actually pretty comfortable too.
Right, but then you might buy a dressier watch. You might buy a watch that's got a chronograph, right, like the other one, right?
Yep.
You can in this price point, if you bought a $500 watch today, it's conceivable in a year, if you really like watches, you'll buy another one and another one and another one. So we are aiming at getting people who really enjoy watches or enthusiastic about them. And look, if people don't know about them, we're going to have a whole section on the website and on our YouTube that's all about education about watches.
That's so important because nobody has it.
And the ones that do, they're pretty good at it. Well, no, they're pretty good at it, but you know what it is? You go to their YouTube channel and you basically have to search for it.
Yeah.
Right. You have to. In between their watch reviews and in between their interviews, which are all great content things. It's like we're not doing anything new. We're going to do it better. Is what I keep telling myself. And when people ask, well, you're doing a watch show. Yeah, we're not doing anything brand new. We're going to do it better. We're going to bring on brands that you can't find on Amazon or you can't find anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to educate you, hopefully in the best, cleanest, smoothest way possible. The other thing is I'd love to maybe do, with the YouTube, I would love to maybe do a live, like a live channel where you get questions. People call up, hey man, I don't understand, the depth rating on a watch. When it says it's good to 50 meters, does that mean I can go 150 feet deep? These are good, valid questions. They're not always obvious answers.
Yes.
So, believe it or not, you're not going to want to go swimming with a watch that's rated for 100 meters.
You're not going to want to?
You can go in the pool, you can go in the boat, like in the water, but let's say this for a second. Let's say you go water skiing, you're wearing it because you're not going to go 100 feet deep or 300 feet deep.
With that impact.
When you hit the water, that impact can compromise the crystal or compromise the back where water's going to get in there. Water gets in a watch.
Are either one of these rated for that?
This one's 300, and this one, I think, what is this one? This one should be at least 300 meters. Yeah, so 300 meters, you're pretty good to go.
I fucking love this one. I love them both, actually.
They're just, they're different, right? That goes back to that whole thing of the months and weeks I've spent sifting through the hundreds of brands and watches that are out there.
Yeah, the times you bailed on me.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was sitting at home staring at Instagram and
finding these people,
trying to find watches. The other thing that's interesting as hell is that these brands are from all over the world. So I've created relationships in the last 4 or 5 months with some fantastic people. One's actually in Switzerland, one guy in New Zealand. The watch you're holding there, he's from the Pacific Northwest or Northern California, up by the
Are these
Redwoods.
made in America too?
No.
Don't
Don't
tell me they're made in China.
They're not. Well, look, the truth of the matter is parts are made in China.
Oh, of course.
But parts are made in Australia. Parts, believe it or not, parts are made in like the Netherlands. So
Sure.
there's one brand in particular we're going to be dealing with down the road. That one's going to get launched, I think, around probably towards the end of the launches, so probably around September, October. What I like about this brand that we're going to launch is that in their specs, they're telling you where every single piece was made.
Holy shit.
So the crystal was made here.
No joke.
The crystal was made here. The dial was made there. It tells you the name of the company that made the component, and you can actually it's got like, you can click on that, and it actually sends you to that company's website. So what they're doing
you could build your own watch, essentially.
You
if
could,
really
yeah,
wanted.
if you had the bucks to do it, because they're doing it in bulk and it's costing them a lot less. But what's really cool about that is it's this whole level of transparency, right? Because you buy, and I don't mean to shit on some of the bigger, powerful brands, because I've got friends there that work at these brands, and I own a couple of them or whatever. But you take a brand like Tag Heuer, you take Omega, you take 99% of the high-end watch brands out there, and guess what? Their cases are made in China. Their bracelets are made in China. Their leather might be made in Italy with subpar leathers. Who knows? The truth of the matter is nobody freaking knows. To be a Swiss watch, 51% of the watch has to be manufactured in Switzerland, as the standards are now. The movement takes up 51% of the watch. So when you're buying, let's say you're buying, and I don't think every Omega is this way, I don't think every Tag is this way, but just for the sake of argument, let's say you buy an Omega, you're spending $5,000 on a Swiss watch. The only thing Swiss in there, the only thing legally has to be Swiss in there, is the movement.
That's fucked up.
So the dial, the crystal, the bracelet, the case, all that shit can be made in China. Now, here's the other thing.
Nothing against China, but
here's the other thing that I've learned in the last 4 or 5 months dealing with the owners of these brands. There are different levels of factories within China. So one brand I'm dealing with gets their cases made in the same exact case factory as half of the Swiss brands. And he pays more for his cases, his watch cases, because they're made to a higher standard and better quality. One of the brands, this one here, this guy, a few months ago, changed half of his production in the factory he was in because he realized his factory he was using was subpar. So he ended up going to a better factory and paying more money for it. So even within Chinese stuff, things that manufacture in China, there are different levels of manufacturing.
That's everything, though.
So that watch you see in Walmart for $20, that's the shittiest of the shitty, right? Then
that is the worst watch ever.
Well, I'm saying you can literally buy a watch for $5 after it was shipped to the United States. You're getting pretty much the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Chinese manufacturing.
It's so fucked up because, and I don't know, this does no correlation, but I love when people I'm like, oh, dude, I want to get this watch. It's like this much money, and it doesn't even matter how much money it is. Anything over $100 is like all of a sudden expensive.
People think you're nuts, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't wait to get this watch. And like you said, men have one piece of jewelry, maybe two, and the second is the wedding ring. If I'm gonna want to spend,
well, hold on. men that we would want to associate with have two pieces.
All right, fair enough. Either that, maybe there's like a family crest or chain, whatever.
That's different.
But for the most part, it's one, maybe two pieces of jewelry.
Right.
That being said, I'm like, oh, I really want to get this watch. They're like, why the fuck would you get a watch? And I'm like, because it's a nice watch. And they're like, well, you have a phone. And I'm like, oh, great. So when my phone dies and I have to read the sun, I'll be able to figure out what time and day it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll break out my sundial.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, what kind of world do you think we live in? And I'm like, bitch.
Yeah, but those are the same jerk-offs that as soon as the Apple Watch came out, oh, I got to get a watch. I'm sorry, weren't you just breaking my balls for talking about watches, right?
That'll last a year, 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, and same guys.
Oh, you want to know what makes me sick? And I've never asked anybody because I don't know anybody that's actually gotten it done, but what an Apple Watch case, like the sapphire case, because
if you break it,
I can only imagine how much that costs to fix.
You're probably better off buying a brand new watch.
Isn't that fucked up?
You're better off going to watchgauge.com. No, just kidding.
Give yourself a plug.
Yeah, man. No, seriously. I mean, the same guys who I see wearing Apple Watches are the same guys that broke my balls for wearing a watch.
Oh, of course. They always will.
But that's fine. I mean, look, everybody's got their thing, right? One thing to think about, too, is that if you're halfway smart with buying watches, whether they're $1,000 or whether they're $100,000, you can generally recoup a good amount of your money.
Yes.
Depending on the brand, depending on the model, it's more difficult now with the gray market and all these discounted watches out there because of how the industry's screwed up. But think about this. I mean, I started selling watches in retail in about 2001, maybe 2002. So I had clients back then. I was selling Rolexes at the time, but was one of the brands I carried. So I would sell, let's say 2003, 2004, 2005. I would sell somebody a stainless steel Rolex Submariner, $3,800. Okay?
That's a great deal on that watch.
That's what they went for. I mean, I'm talking maybe pre-owned, let's say, or even brand new for $4,200. So let's say brand new, $4,200, right? I would sell a Rolex Submariner to somebody, steal one to somebody in 2003, 4. They would come back in 2011 when I was still in retail, 2012, 2013. Hey, I've had this watch a long time. It served me well, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about upgrading to something else, whether it be another Rolex or whatever it may be. They want to get a new watch. So they take that watch that I sold to them for $4,200. They trade it into me. Now all of a sudden I'm giving them $5,800 credit towards a new watch because
the value went up.
The brand new ones are now $7,800.
Yeah.
So if I'm buying it for $52, I could sell it for $62 pre-owned. I made $1,000. I helped out this client buy a new watch. Blah 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 blah. But the truth is, this guy laid out $4,200 in 2003, and this is just an example, but it's a very very real example. Guy laid out $3,800 for a Rolex in 2000. $4,200 in 2003 for a Rolex. 2013, he sells it back to me 10 years later for a profit, and goes and buys a new watch. Now, my best analogy for that is I'd love to go to Smithtown, get myself a 911 Porsche, drive it for 10 years, go back and get
a nicer car.
Or get more, get more money than I paid for it. It doesn't happen in almost any other product.
Watches is the very, very finite industry that can happen in.
Diamonds it could happen in if you buy them correctly, but there's not many things in the world you could buy today, other than real estate, that you could just sit on and utilize and then all of a sudden
use it. It's not even like, I can't touch it, whatever.
Absolutely.
You could use it. You could wear it every day.
Absolutely.
And not even blink an eye.
Absolutely. 100%. If, not that this would be the prime example, but you own a watch, let's say you bought it for $5,000. Let's say for some reason you want to take $3,000 and you want to buy yourself a jet ski. But you don't want to take the $3,000 out of your pocket. You're not in love with your watch anymore. You know what? You could probably get $3,000 back for your watch if you bought it correctly, right? So you wore a fine watch, $5,000 watch for a couple of years. You got $3,000 back for. I mean, you can't do that with most products, within reason. On the same token, I never ever ever tell somebody buy a watch because it's an investment. Because on most watches you will lose money unless you hold on for a while.
Yeah.
But the point is there. So, if you buy an Apple Watch, you're throwing it out in 2 years, 3 years. You use your phone, watches are just our thing. And I get it. When people say I'm not a watch guy, I totally get it. I never wore a watch when I was, when I was in high school and stuff like that. My first watch I got after high school was a Shark, a Reef surfing watch. Had the tides on it, so I can look and see what. Not that it helped my surfing at all. Because I suck.
I don't even know if those things work.
I don't know.
My brother had one. And I was like, I don't know if that's bullshit or not.
It went along with the rest of my poser look, I guess.
No, I do agree with you a lot. And even if you do lose the money on it, you're not losing. It's not like
you got to enjoy it.
Yeah, you got to enjoy it, and it's not like a car where you spent $20,000 on the watch, and all right, even if you get into a car accident, you hit your watch into something, chances are pretty good. One, it's not going to break. Two, even if it does, all right, it's just a lens,
right?
Or the lens,
crystal, whatever, yeah.
And then you could just sell it. It's not like it's going to really depreciate it's not going to depreciate the value of it. Where a car, you drove for 10 years,
right?
Unless it's a classic, from the 60s, which
you're already paying a lot of money for.
Yeah, and you just happen to not use it that much. Yeah. If you use the shit out of it, it's not worth that much.
Yeah, it's funny. That's interesting. And I'm dating myself because I'll tell you this every time I'm here. I'm much older than you. My first car was in 1989. I got a 78 Camaro. Okay. 1978 Camaro.
God damn.
It was a cool
balling
car.
When you were younger.
Yeah, well, back then it really wasn't balling. It was you was a 19-year-old fucking car. But the people balling were driving something that was much newer. I think we paid about $2,800 for that car, right?
Oh, God, and it was not too bad.
And it was a junker. It really was. Yeah. It had a big engine, all that stuff. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Whatever. So after I blew up the tranny on it and sold it and whatnot, right? So I bought that car for under $3,000. Driving down Montauk Highway last week, I think I was with my two boys. I'm passing this little no-name, used car lot, and there's a 78 Camaro there for $25,000. And I was
25?
And I was like, no, I'm like, guys, that was my first car. It's the same exact car I owned. Different color, but everything else was... It was the same exact car that I owned. And they wanted $25,000 for it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I hope Watchgate takes off because I would go and buy that car today. Only because, you get nostalgic about that crap. So it just goes to show you that, like... So when that car was brand new, it was probably $6,000, $8,000, or whatever it was in '78.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, by the time I buy it, it's worth $2,000, and now all of a sudden they're $25,000.
If you hold on to it.
Yeah,
Some things you hold on to
Some
it.
Some things, man.
But a lot of shit.
Most stuff not. The shit that you throw out, right? Because you're decluttering.
Because that's
the stuff that's worth money, right? Like your old game systems. Jesus, the Star Wars toy, all that. I mean, I'm thinking of crap I got rid of.
You want to know what's fucked up? Well, I shouldn't say fucked up, but I give this guy a lot of credit. I met a guy, and I want to have him on the show. I'm in the process of trying to get him on. And he goes out and he buys all that memorabilia shit. The shit that, like, you give to your kids, they open it up, they play it with it for a couple months, and you fucking throw it out.
Yeah.
He buys all that shit, brand new, in box. Once he gets
puts it away.
He vacuum seals it, bro. Vacuum seals it, puts it in a box, tucks it away in a fucking attic.
Yeah, but he's got to have a big ass attic, right?
He just every couple weeks he just buys something else, like when he thinks is going to be a collectible.
You know what that reminds me, a great idea. There's this guy I knew. I think I probably knew him since I was like 12, 13, but I went through school with him and stuff. And every year for his birthday, like he'd get whatever birthday gifts he gets from his parents, right? But his dad would buy the full box of Topps baseball cards for him, but he would buy 2 boxes. One box he would open, he would take out, he'd put in the book in order and this and that and the other. The other box, which is sealed, his dad said, you're not allowed to open this box. It's got to be, you got to keep the plastic on it. But since the year he was born in 1971 or 72, he had every Topps box of baseball cards still sealed from the factory. And I thought that's brilliant, because... Buy 2 of it, throw one in storage. Play with one, do one, and the other one goes away. See, the problem is now, since the late 80s into early 90s, they started, again, like over-manufacturing all these cards, and all these new card company came out and all this crap. The cards are worthless nowadays. So when you go to, like... If you went and bought, 2017 MLB, Topps cards, they're not worth shit ever.
Yeah.
Because they're making billions of them. But if you go back to this, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, into the early 90s, whatever. But I always thought that was cool. So, and I have every Hess truck from 1972.
Oh, wow.
So now
it's still in box.
Everyone's in the box. Everyone is as the day we got it. And but every time, every Christmas, my wife and I get one for each of our kids. We get one for each of our nephews and stuff. It's just kind of a family thing. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. One of our things. But I also get one and I put it away.
Yeah.
So mine gets put away with the rest of them. And I mean,
isn't it weird how we hold on to shit like that?
Yeah.
My neighbor has every single Hot Wheels car.
Those can be worth bucks.
In the box, the brand new.
That's crazy. That's a collection.
That train. He's got a bunch of shit. His whole fucking basement done to the nines.
Yeah.
And he's got like little shelves, and each one's cool. On there. I mean, it's blows my mind.
That's cool.
I can't even put a word to describe the sensation you get when you walk down there. Like, it's not like, oh, you have the great lighting.
It's like a museum.
It's just every fucking box lined up perfectly, brand new in box. Like, the boxes aren't even damaged. Like, it wasn't even
it's like a baseball card.
Yeah.
Right? If that box is bent, it's worth less money.
Yeah, like just the cardboard that, like, the bullshit plastic thing that sits on the cardboard. That, like, even the cardboard is not bent.
Yep.
But I always find it so weird how we hold on to this shit.
You know what's funny?
Hoping that
it's going to be worth money someday.
Yeah.
And then the last time I was on this show, we talked about Craigslist and all that crap and selling shit. Now we're talking about collecting.
By the way, fuck you, because now I'm on this offer up shit.
Yeah.
And now I'm on.
What was that one?
Let go.
Let go is the one.
Yeah.
Did you try it out? Did you take a picture and it put the description in there for you?
I don't think so.
The app alone put the description in there for me.
That's fucking crazy. I sold my old mini fridge, but the nice part is too, it's not like I have to go on Craigslist now. All right, no, I gotta fucking go on there and all right, let me upload 7 pictures. I gotta make a description for it, whatever. Like, I literally just took a picture of the old mini fridge, photo, mini fridge,
$50,
lightly used condition, $50. Got like fucking 5 hits in an hour or in like a day.
Crazy.
I was like, this is great. And then the people want to, like, oh, I don't have to worry about shipping, and somebody contacted me from out of the area, whatever. You want to come get it? See you later. Done.
Yeah.
I was fucking mind blown.
I know, man.
Mind blown.
Technology.
Yeah, you and one of my buddies, and Tim that's been on the show. Him too. That motherfucker's got me on there, and just whatever, finding shit. And I still have more stuff to sell.
Don't get on there and start looking at shit to buy. Do not do it.
Oh my God!
Don't do it.
There's so much shit already. I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Let me buy this.
You were gonna buy the most random crap if you get on there and start looking for stuff to buy. Like I'm talking about, you'll be sitting there on the toilet, right, wasting time, looking at Let Go, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I need that, and it's like the most random thing in the world. It's like, I mean, I can't even come up with a funny example right now.
I have so much shit I don't even need.
Right.
Because this fucking internet thing. And there's a website called Slick Deals. I don't know if you know about Slick Deals.
No, I haven't heard that
Slick Deals is great. SlickDeals.net. And this is not paid for them by anything by them, but it's
you could sponsor the show if you'd like to.
If somebody from them listen, sponsor, hook it up. But it's a forum where people go, and let's say you're out or you're on the internet and you find, I don't know, Target has a great deal on water bottles. This fucking great water bottle. It's normally like $25 and they're selling for $15 right now. You go on there, hey, check out Target, whatever, and you post a photo of it, $15, whatever, and then if it's a really good deal, you can put a little flame next to it, and people can go in there, and you don't make any money off of showing it. You just help the community, quote unquote, find the shit to get the good deal. Oh my God, the amount of shit that I've bought on there that I don't fucking need.
Because you're just looking at good deals.
Yeah, because I'm just like, oh my God, this is so much money. I know this is so much money. Let me just get it real quick.
It's 10 o'clock at night. I got to get in my car. I got to go buy a water bottle because it's a good deal.
It's so fucking true.
Harrison, where are you going? Go to buy a fucking water bottle. Leave me alone.
It's so true. This shit on there for so cheap. This fucking kayak's on there. I'm like, oh my God. A kayak's $180.
I've always wanted to be a river kayaker. There isn't a river on Long Island.
I'm like, oh my God, it'd be so cool to have a kayak. When the fuck am I going to use a kayak? I don't even have time for that shit.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's all the time, man.
Awesome.
So much. Like, there's tents.
Harrison, why is there a kayak in the driveway?
I mean, my fucking post office, my postman must be like, what the fuck goes on in this kid's? He's got a new, he's got like a new package or packages a week.
That's awesome.
Oh my god,
awesome.
It's fucking crazy, man! Just new shit coming all the time. Like, what the fuck could I be getting? and it's always Amazon or like a name brand. Like I'm sure he looks at like where it's coming from.
Right? Yeah.
Like, oh, what do you get this week? Oh, it's for something from Cabela's. All right, I bought bags. I have bags at home I didn't even fucking use because Cabela's had a good sale. And I'm like, oh, let me get this shit now.
It's like your 6 Yeti sitting in your podcast office. Because you're gonna have 6 people in this room.
No, hey, simmer down. No, those little ones are for scotch. When I get up, I'm actually gonna be right below the camera. I'm gonna be making. I got pallet board. Okay. Thank you to Bayport Flower House for hooking up pallets for me.
Little plug.
Yeah, a little plug for them. And so I got a bunch. They gave me a bunch of pallets, and I chopped them all up. Whatever. So I'm in the process. I've been really, really busy since I've gotten them. But I'm gonna make a wine rack that'll also hold a couple wine glasses, like 3, 4 wine, probably 4 wine glasses for this.
Is that for when you bring the ladies in?
Yeah, you know, whatever. Hey, every once in a while, I like to have a glass of wine. I had a ball in Melback the other day. Speaking of which, but and I want to have it also have the ability to hold a couple different liquor bottles. Like, not that we're going to come in here and get fucking loaded, but...
No, it's classy.
Yeah, you know, a couple glasses of scotch. You want something that you don't drink beer, maybe a vodka soda, whatever it is. I want to be able to swap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate goal. I'll have that underneath there. And then I think for the most part, this room will be pretty much done.
So those Yetis over there, that's for like
that'll be for like scotch.
Okay.
When somebody comes in, they have scotch.
Gotcha.
I'll have it for that. I have that one for anybody who wants. Well, I didn't have water bottles at the time. The water bottles is a new addition to the facility now.
Gotcha.
Because Billy was on, he's like, "Oh, you got water?" I was like, "I just bought a fucking Yeti. Let me just fill it up with water."
Let me go dip it in the toilet.
Oh God. But like, it never occurred to me that people drink like, because this sounds so fucked up, but like I forget that people drink out of water bottles still.
Yeah.
Because I literally have not drinking out of a water bottle other than the extremely rare occurrence.
Now you're talking about like a Perrier bottle, like a plastic,
just a regular plastic water, like a
like
Poland Spring, Dasani, whatever it is, Perrier. I haven't drinking out of a water bottle, and no joke.
I can't believe Perrier was the one I came up with first.
Yeah. We know where you're going. What part of Fire Island you're going to this summer?
Hey,
and no offense to anybody who's gay,
not at all.
Triggered.
I used to work over there actually.
It is actually kind of funny though, because I never realized like the whole side tangent, the obsession with Perrier. Because I used to work in Stony Brook, and people are like, "Oh, do you have Perrier?" I'm like, "No, I don't fucking Perrier." And then I was like,
"About a Perrier in 30 years."
Yeah. And I was somewhere. And I was like, like they had Perrier and it was on sale. I was like, you know what? Everybody, all these fucking quote unquote wealthy people drink it. Let me just buy one. It's like
good.
And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty tasty. I don't fucking knock them.
This is the best freaking water I've ever had.
It's tasty. Fiji water though, I don't think tastes that. I think it tastes like shit. But a lot of people love it.
Yeah, well, I was at a meeting once.
How the fuck did we get on this topic? This is
crazy. But this is the fun part of the show.
I love it.
But Kevin and I, my business partner in that other business, he and I, we went to a meeting once together, and we sit down. This beautiful like corner office guy, wealthy dude, and all of a sudden, I'm trying to think of what the bottle of water. It's like tall core. Is that a core water? Whatever it is, it's just like this bottle. It's like long.
Is that like a gray label on a gray and white label?
It's like gray and white. I think so.
Oh, shit.
But anyway, I'd never seen this stuff. I'm like, I'm not a classy dude. So we sit down. The secretary comes in. She brings these 2 big bottles of water and glasses and a little ice thing. And she walks out. And Kevin goes, "Man, they're loaded here." I go, "Well, it's a beautiful office." Yeah. He goes, "No, man, look at the water." I'm like. I don't really get it. He goes, "Those things are like $6 a piece." Yeah. I'm like, "For water?"
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, "Can I get another water, please?"
I'll take one to go with.
Stick one in my briefcase.
But no, it's fucked up, man. I kind of forget that people drink out of water bottles because I didn't even do this for the going green part. I got the Yeti. I bought it now well over a year ago, and I literally carry this thing with me everywhere. Yeah. And it's better than a bottle because a bottle I bang around, I beat the shit out of the thing. Where this, it has to be in your hand because it doesn't seal.
Right.
So because it doesn't seal, I just carry it around with me everywhere.
But actually, and it naturally keeps it much colder.
And yes, and that was the other nice part is when I get cold drinks, they're always colder for much longer periods of time, and hotter drinks too.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, I'm burping like crazy. Sorry, everybody. But when I have when I put beer in here or whatever it is, cocktail, whatever it is, I know that, and it's great for the beach. I know it's going to stay cold. I fill this thing up with ice. I add my seltzer to it, and then I'm like, I'm good. I don't have to worry, and it could sit in the sun all day long.
I was blown away that my neighbor, had the can one.
Okay.
And he's like, have you? And this is a year.
This is fucking
This was like
gold.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm thinking, why would you want that big hunking metal thing around your can? And he goes, have you seen it? Have you used this? No. He goes, watch this. And we were like hanging out. I think I was helping him do some yard work, do something. So he takes it, he puts it in the sun with a brand new beer in there. I'm like, what am I watching? He goes, we're going to leave that there for about 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, it's sickening.
I go, what do you mean? He goes, that thing will be cold in 2 hours. Guaranteed, that'll be cold in 2 hours. Sitting in the sun like this. And it was summertime.
Yeah.
I was like, no way.
Yeah.
There is no way. He goes, I'll bet you. I'm like, whatever. So we went and did some stuff, and he like set his timer on his watch.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's about 2 hours. Let's go check it. And we pick it up, and sure as hell, that thing was cold. I was absolutely blown away.
Oh, this thing works so fucking
I couldn't
good.
believe it.
I couldn't believe it either.
Like, I was like, dude, is there ice inside of that metal? He's like, no, it's just the insulation technology.
Works.
It's crazy.
It just works. Somebody offered me one last year for a beer.
Yeah.
And I put the beer in there. I went swimming for like an hour or so. Came back and it was
still cold.
Ice cold.
That's
and I was
crazy. That's crazy. So here's another mind blower. Like talking about green, talking about water, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the water balls?
Oh, the Orbeez.
Is that what the name of those things
Yeah,
are?
Orbeez. Yeah.
Where
some fucking crazy motherfucker on YouTube filled the whole pool with them.
Hold on. Anybody listening to this, Google that shit. Because this ball...
The balls are literally...
a ball of water.
They're the size of airsoft BBs before they expand.
So what does that mean?
An airsoft BB is...
Is it like an inch?
No. They're very small. They're probably...
But these are things... No, see, I'm thinking of something different, I think.
Water balls?
The ones that I saw on the news were about 2 inches across, 1.5 inches across.
They expand when they put in water. They have to absorb the water.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then the skin disintegrates, right? Like if you throw the whole ball in your mouth. No, I'm talking about something.
Oh,
I'm talking about drinkable water.
Yes. All right.
I'm talking about. So
I've seen that too.
This is a ball. It comes in a plastic, like not plastic, like.
Never mind. So fuck the Orbeez.
Yeah, I don't know what the
hell. But
that's
what that. All right. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
These things. So you don't have a water bottle. You've got this ball of water. You pop it in your mouth and you bite it or whatever. You drink the water, and the skin that it's in disintegrates in your mouth, and there's no bottle. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
That is the most mind-blowing thing in the world.
Yep.
You can you can get fresh water to like people in Tanzania or wherever they, you know.
You ready for another mind blower?
Go ahead.
So I'm sitting on LinkedIn today, and I spend a chunk of my day on LinkedIn, just whatever.
I
the business network.
Obsessed with LinkedIn. Yeah.
And I like LinkedIn because for a couple reasons. One, it's got a lot. You already drank your beer? Fucking animal. All right, give me another one. Shit.
Stop during the week.
Stops during the week, so he has to catch up when he's with me. So I'm on LinkedIn, and they come out with this new article, and China just released a solar-powered farm that floats on water, and it is enormous.
Enormous, like
literally
like an acre or like miles.
Several dozen acres. It looked like it was fucking mind-blowingly big.
So this floats where, like in the ocean?
Yeah, so they just put it on the ocean, and I'm extremely curious, and I'm about to fucking tech out right now and science out right now, but I'm extremely curious to see how this affects global warming. Not so much in the fact that because making those things is extremely bad for the environment. But if they last long enough, it will eventually turn to the green scale. My other thought process on this too is because you're shading so much ocean, how is that going to affect the ocean? And is that because now, I don't know if you know about the coral epidemic, and corals are dying at an extremely fast rate because because global warming.
Because Al Gore flies in a private plane.
What?
No.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm kind of curious to see how, because they're covering that much space with
So it's
solar
going to cool
panels.
the water, right?
Well, I don't know. This is my thoughts.
No, but that's the thought, right? So the thought is because the water underneath is all shaded, it would get cooled down. But then think about, right? So solar panels are black,
Yes.
right? So you take,
So they get very hot, though. And the
Right.
water will help cool them.
but does that heat the air temperature?
I don't know. See, This is a touchy subject.
Yeah, man.
But I think it's a great idea, and it's definitely better than... Regardless, it's definitely better. 100%, it's definitely better than whatever we're doing at the moment. Whether it's burning coal,
I think
burning
I think you have to try everything.
Natural
I think
gas.
you have to try absolutely everything, because eventually something's going to work, right? So something's going to stop negatively impacting the planet, and hopefully, you know, I'm not like a...
Yeah, but there's also talks about... There's actually one, I think it's a company now, they were talking about putting, because there's so much smog in China and other areas in the world, they're putting these air filters that will pull the garbage out of the air and filter them. And they're thinking about taking the shit that they pull out of the air and compressing it to make diamonds to sell to fund the whole operation.
Because it's carbon in the air.
Yes.
That's right. That makes sense.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Well, that's the other thing. Diamonds now, they're manufacturing diamonds now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard you have to be very careful when you buy diamonds now.
That's scary. Yeah, you have to be very, very careful. Anybody who's ever going to buy a diamond wants to, be safe about buying a diamond. Buy one that was sent to the GIA certified.
What's the GIA?
GIA is the Gemological Institute of America.
Okay.
And the GIA will take any diamond on the planet, and they will authenticate it. They will also grade it for its color, its clarity, this, that, and the other.
Oh, aren't most diamonds normally done like that?
People will tell you what color it is, what clarity it is, unless it's certified by the GIA. It's all bullshit. So, like, let's say you go into a store and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a diamond for my girl. I want to get married." They're gonna say, "Oh, here's a beautiful diamond. It's a G color. It's an SI1 clarity." You could say, "All right, great." And
by the way, John knows about this. He's not just...
Yeah, I know. I came from that world. So that the whole time...
I don't want somebody to just be like, well, what the fuck does John know?
No.
John does know about this, and I knew that John knew about this.
Yeah, but so thank you. But most people will go into a store, they'll listen to what the jeweler tells them, and they'll buy the diamond and walk out with no proof that that's like a G color or an SI1.
That makes me sick.
So the only way in the world to be safe is to get a diamond that has been GIA certified, and to be stupid safe, they laser inscribe the GIA number on the diamond. So you're holding a GIA certificate
in micro.
Oh, it's tiny. Yeah, you need a microscope. Like they have a jeweler's microscope you can see it with. But the only way in the world to be safe is get a GIA certified diamond with a GIA certificate, and has also been laser inscribed. So
that's
weird
crazy.
Weird sidebar conversation.
I'm curious to know, because I just physically don't have enough time in a day to do all my homework on every single little thing. But I'm curious to know what a manufactured diamond compares to a natural forming diamond.
I hear they're almost identical. Rumor has it they're almost identical.
Because if it's a diamond is diamond. Granted,
it's carbon. It is coal. It's coal. It's carbon. It's the same exact thing as coal, compressed in stupid temperatures, like super high heat and super high pressure. And it turns into a diamond, and that's how they manufacture. I don't know personally. I've never dealt with manufactured diamonds, but I don't know. It's scary. It's scary because if they can make them to the point that they're identical, then they're worthless, right?
Diamonds are already worthless.
Well, they're stupid expensive too, though.
Because that's like everything, though. We make it expensive.
It's so rigged.
We make it expensive.
That's so rigged, that system.
And women, and no, nothing against women.
No.
I'm sure there's gay dudes out there, too. But I know so many women that are like, oh, the most important thing to me, I don't care if we have a big house, I don't care if we have a nice car, but I want a nice ring, I want a nice diamond. And I'm like, that diamond is literally just a shiny rock. Like,
you want to hear something funny? Back probably 15 years ago or so, because 15 years ago, I was just married, and we had a bunch of couples over. We just bought our first house. We had a bunch of couples over on Saturday night. We were all drinking, playing games, doing whatever we're doing. And my buddy was over with this girl who they'd been serious, and we all getting liquored up, and we're talking. She's like, oh well, I want it to be at least 3 carats, and I want this, and I want it to be this, and I want it to be that.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
I'm looking at my buddy. I'm like, lose this girl faster than you can. Just get rid of her. I swear to, because I said to her at that point, I'm like, come on. I'm like, it really doesn't make a difference if he loves you. And she's like, fuck that. I want a 3 carat. Meanwhile, 3 carat diamond at the time was like 30 grand for a crummy one.
Still fucking is.
Yeah, I know. So
Jesus.
I mean, that's for a crummy one.
Yeah.
A decent one's $80,000-$90,000.
Yeah.
My buddy was like a brand new CPA making like 60 grand a year, and I'm like, Tom, lose her. And he wasn't like a super close friend, so we didn't really stay very in touch over the years. I ran into him about 5 years ago. I'm like, what are you up to? He's like, oh, I got married. I'm like, no, not to her. He goes, oh no.
So
he goes,
funny.
she was a nightmare. But you did. I just think it's funny because you're right. Some real, I want it to be this big.
Yep.
It's a rock.
I was listening to actually a very intellectual podcast, and I don't even remember which one it was because it was an interim one, but it was the value of, it was Joe Rogan's new one with Bert something or Brett, I don't even remember, but they're talking about cryptocurrencies and these bitcoins, and I've actually had quite a lot of philosophical thoughts on I don't know if you know what a bitcoin is.
I'm familiar. I don't know too much
Bitcoins and blockchain currencies and things like that. So a blockchain currency, aka cryptocurrency, is basically a virtual money where it has to be authenticated dozens or multiple times until the computer says, all right, after it's done authenticating, it says, okay, I've authenticated this, let me add one more block onto the chain. So it's constantly being verified all the time whenever you trade it. That being said, people are like, oh,
wait, do you buy stuff with this stuff?
Oh yeah, you can buy anything: drugs, guns, slaves,
can you buy it? Like,
cars.
can I go buy a 12-pack of Bud Light with it?
Maybe not
Or
a 12-pack of Bud
is
Light,
it only for
but
illicit
you could
shit?
buy a car with it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of places that'll accept bitcoins. Some people live strictly on Bitcoin. They buy everything in Bitcoin. They sell everything on Bitcoin. And it's not a bad currency to have. Now it's gotten a lot better. It's harder to be hacked when you have a Bitcoin, things like that.
So does it all live in the virtual world?
Yes.
Okay, so
nothing is tangible.
So what's to say you wake up one day and somebody says, "Oh, you don't have any Bitcoin." You're like, "Yeah, I had $1 million."
Well, that brings up my next point.
No way.
The only reason why it has value, and that's kind of like the dollar bill too. This dollar bill that I have
it's a green piece, white and green piece of paper.
The gold that no longer has gold backing to it. It's literally a piece of cloth that has green, black, and some other fucked up version of yellow on there.
It's not worth what it's printed on unless somebody says it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the government says it's worth something, but I could light this thing on fire and it couldn't even hit this room.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's worth nothing. Bitcoin is not even. At least I can hold this.
That's what I feel.
Bitcoin is not even fucking tangible.
Right.
Like
I'm a big fan of gold. I'm a big fan of a block of like 24 karat, pure.
I've never touched that, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, I don't have at the moment, but
okay.
But if for some reason I came into a couple bucks and wanted to figure out what to do with it, I mean, to me it's better to have a couple of ounces of gold stuck in a safe than it is to put it into a savings account.
Oh yeah, and you probably get a better return on it.
Plus, it's tax free. When you buy it and you sell it, it's tax free. So you can buy $1 million worth of gold, it's tax free. You could sell it it's tax free.
I didn't know that.
It is.
Good to know.
It is.
But yeah, these whole blockchain things, I'm like, there's literally no value other than what we affiliate the value to be with them. So right now the values are like, I don't know, $1,700, give or take, for one of these things. But back in the day, it's kind of like a stock. Back in the day, it used to be worth pennies on the dollar.
Right.
Now it's worth.
But then wasn't there some kind of, like, I heard about like some kind of major crash at one point where, I don't know. It freaks me out because you have zero control over anything with that. I mean, not that you have any control over what the value of a dollar is, but at least
you can hold it.
99.9% of the United States has their trading and their value of things based on the dollar.
Yep.
If I walked into the fucking, if I walked into anywhere and said, "Hey, I've got $1 million Bitcoin," everybody look at me like, "So?" Is it no different than having $1 million?
See, it's weird though, because now I think we're at a time where if you say you had $1 million Bitcoin, let's just say $1 million in Bitcoin, because if you had $1 million Bitcoin, you were a fucking baller. Even
if I had $1 million, I'm a baller.
I was gonna say, yeah. Even if you have $1 million in Bitcoin, you're balling. But now it's becoming so socially acceptable to. It's weird because rewind 2-3 years, people are like, "Do you have Bitcoins?" Like, Like, what shady shit are you doing?
Yeah,
that you have
that's the
Bitcoin?
way I feel
Like,
now.
why do you have an untraceable currency?
See, I'm that far out of like being a millennial. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm not there.
It's fucking weird.
So like if I was in if I had a watch store and I had expensive watches and you came in, I'm like, yeah, I want that watch for $100,000. Do you take Bitcoin? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? No.
And the fucked up part is people are
doing it.
Car dealerships on Long Island take Bitcoin now.
Okay.
Yep, it's all over.
Now, where is the Bitcoin currency trading all taking place? Where does it live?
You have your Bitcoin wallets and ATMs and things like that. No,
I'm talking about like how we have the New York Stock Exchange, we've got the Chicago Board of.
Well, you send them to people. So you send like Venmo, but you send your Bitcoins.
But is there a central banking location?
No, it's cryptocurrency, bro. You just dig for them, bro. You don't know this, bro? It's all about digging, bro. There was a.
I feel like either I'm really high or you're really high, and I know neither of us are high.
So you
like there's no New York Stock Exchange of Bitcoin. There's no NASDAQ. There's no trading floor.
Nope, nothing.
There's what it is. You know what it is? What? It's a Commodore 64, which predates you by about 10 years.
I was going to say, I've heard of that, but I don't know.
It's a shitty little computer.
Okay.
Sitting somewhere in like Malaysia.
Oh, probably.
And there's some guy picking his nose, tapping the screen, and that's like the Bitcoin currency.
So a little. All right. So I'll bring it all the way back to as good of my memory as I possibly can dig into. Bitcoin was invented by a guy. And basically what it is it's a algorithm that your computer has to process to figure out how to get the Bitcoin out. When it was first started, Bitcoins were easy to pull because any computer could get into the algorithm. Progressively, the algorithm gets harder and harder to crack.
Right.
That being said, when that algorithm gets harder and harder to crack, Bitcoins become more valuable because they're not as abundant as they used to be when there weren't so many of them on the market. Now that there's more and more on the market, they're much harder to get. You can still farm them. For example, there was a guy in Germany.
What do you mean farming them?
So
you're not planting a seed and watering it. What?
You're hacking. You're not hacking. You're decrypting the algorithms, or you're solving the algorithms. So you basically program the computer to try all these different algorithms, and then once it figures out the algorithm, boom, you get a Bitcoin out. So now, because Bitcoins are so expensive, it's very costly to get to mine, quote unquote, Bitcoins. You can download software that just basically tries to go through and figure out the Bitcoins, but it's extremely inefficient now. Back in the day, rewind 3-4 years ago, when they were easier to come by because the algorithms were simpler, now they're much more complex because it's a self-building algorithm. It's all about cryptography and things like that, and numbers and algebra and all this fucking crazy shit. There was a guy in Jersey who literally had a warehouse that he would mine, quote unquote, Bitcoins with. So he set up these things called Raspberry Pis, which is a motherboard, and you can program them, and then you can have GPUs, graphical processing units, which basically helps run your images on your computer, video games, things like that. Had all these things plugged into them, and all these things would mine Bitcoins all day long. Mm-hmm. He had a state-of-the-art facility for literally a fucking $100 computer, but he had thousands of them in rows, and computers get hot when they're running and things like that because you have electrical currency.
AC.
He says that his bill for the, if I can recall correctly to the news article, he's like, yeah, my electrical bill is somewhere around $1 million a month.
But how much was he mining?
He was making like $15 to $20 million a month in Bitcoins. So obviously it's not sustainable. You do it for a couple of years.
So
you
these
do
things,
it for a couple months and you get out.
He's not physically taking them from somebody. He's not physically.
No, you're decrypting the hashes. The hashes.
Yeah,
it's all sorts of fucked up. It's all sorts of fucked up.
So I'm gonna go and buy an ounce of gold and
stick it in my safe. Stick with something tangible.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But the crazy part about Bitcoins and the negative stigma around it for a while was you could literally get almost anything you wanted for a Bitcoin. So if you wanted a quote-unquote ghost gun, a gun that came from South Africa with a race serial number and who's completely untraceable, shipped to your house. You send them a Bitcoin, they put it in overnight packaging. It doesn't have enough time to get scanned through the facilities, and it comes right to your house. So you can literally buy it.
Why wouldn't they be able to do that with your American Express or your Visa?
Because if you buy that with your American Express, now you have a traceable. You have a traceable. Oh, what did you do? Why did you buy something from South Africa? Who is this person? Right. Now you start raising red flags. You send a piece of virtual currency that nobody can follow.
Right.
You're golden. And then you can get a hold of drugs, basically whatever you couldn't get here.
Scaring me, all this.
You gotta. You know what's fucked up?
You gotta. Why would you have to know this?
Well, we, with the nerds, plug in for the nerds.
Well, there you go. You guys have to protect people against stuff.
Yes, kind of. Hackers, mainly in like Russia, Germany, mainly Russia, they will put out phishing, which is when they send you emails, and when you click on that email and you open it up, it basically opens up a file that says, all right, lock this computer. And as we're locking this computer, we're sending the files over there. It's locking the files and sending them back.
Right.
So it's this whole loop.
Is that are those the ones that say, give us $5,000 or we're... Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes. So your normal credit card will not swipe on there because they don't want to get found out by American Express, and then Interpol can get involved in this, that, and the other thing. So because of that, you can get a Bitcoin, and that's how you have to pay the hackers to unlock your computer so you can get your grandchildren's photos. That's literally who they're attacking.
Yeah.
If you have a good IT company, whether it be in-house or whether it be a managed service provider like the nerds, this should be a very low fear because your IT company should be consistently preventing anything that could happen.
Right.
Is it possible? Yeah.
Sure.
But on the flip side of it too, though, is if that does happen and you do get your computers locked up, if you have a backup of your system, you wipe the whole computer, you just load it from the backup, and you're good to go.
Right.
No problem. They almost never will keep the files. They could care less about the files.
They just want to turn and burn. Right.
They just want to turn and burn. Yeah.
They just want you to be desperate enough to give them money.
Yep.
And if you're not, then they're just going to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't.
And I've got an external hard drive, and I've got it for one reason: for all the photos and videos that I can't replace. I can replace any Word file, any
You should be putting it in two places. You should be throwing it up in Dropbox and on the external.
Yeah,
if you can.
Exactly.
It's all about redundancy, but basically that's why I know so much about cryptocurrency.
Right.
So because I went to school for it, and now I deal with it here, and I have to know how to get it.
And you were a contract killer while you were in school.
Pretty much.
Okay, so that's how you got paid.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I actually kill people who design craft watches.
That's fine. Just not the guys who sell them.
So that's kind of how I had to get into it, and it's kind of weird because now it's not so much talked about, but over the last 2 years it was very heavily.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it lately.
Yeah, because now I think it's becoming so accepted.
Yeah.
That it's just like it's like all the new shit that's coming out. Okay.
All right, no, totally.
Like it's not even like, oh, what are you using for?
Well, think about it. 10 years ago, people didn't feel comfortable buying anything online.
Yeah.
Right.
And now just you get that fucking one click from Amazon.
I have the one click from Amazon on my phone, for God's sake. So I'm like buying stuff while I'm on the train or
I've fucked up a couple times. I'm not even kidding.
I think we did too. We got like two of something. Went to get my son a hockey stick, and I must have tapped it twice.
Oh.
Next thing you know, two of them come, and it's like.
No, there was a couple times where I'm
bad.
like, oh, this is pretty cool, and I'm like, all right, and because you could always swipe to the right for iPhones, but that now they changed it so you have to swipe the bar for the one touch pay. So I'm always used to swiping to the right, whatever, and I did that a couple times. And I'm like, what the fuck did I order this? And I'm like, oh, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. You just
the blessing is that they return they accept everything back,
they do.
Right?
They do.
Yeah.
But it's fucking weird how.
I think it's time for a pee break.
A pee break? Well, I mean, we could wrap this pitch up.
Let's wrap it up. Then.
Hour and 28. That was perfect.
Dude, that's fast. The last one was 2 hours. I'm like, damn, that was long, but it went fast.
Yeah.
When I was listening, I'm like, God, I didn't shut up.
God, John, shut the hell up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I looked up before, and I was like, God damn, we're 45 minutes in, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is flying.
It goes fast. It's fun.
It does. All right, so I want to give a plug-in for Montauk, actually, because I had my buddy Greg on here the other day, and he brought me a Montauk Wave Chaser, and I've been waiting to drink it, and I must say it was the first beer I had today. I think. Yeah. No, actually, it's false. It wasn't the first beer I had today. That's fucking bad.
It's great that you have to think about that.
But it was fucking tasty as could be. And he didn't tell me to do this or anything like that. I just happened to drink it. He brought me one. It was one of the last ones he could get a hold of because they're out of them right now. But that was a fucking delicious beer. So, Montauk, keep producing good beer. On that note, John, give yourself some plugins because you've obviously spent some time here.
Yeah, no. So Watch Gauge is launching July 6th.
It's gonna be the worst.
It's gonna be horrible. It's just I don't even know why I'm doing this.
I'm excited to go see it.
I should just go. Not have a job. No. So
I'm trying to do that, but the whole work, the money thing.
Yeah,
it doesn't really work out.
Gets frowned upon.
When
you're in your underwear for 3 days straight, sitting there doing nothing, your kids look at you weird.
It's fucked up because that's my dream.
Dad, aren't you really gonna shower?
Although funny enough, I do happen to see John all the time at the beach, but the whole work thing's interrupting the beach time.
Shut up and go to school, kids. So Watch Gauge launching on July 6th is going to be the day the site goes live. We'll have a landing page up hopefully tomorrow or the next day. You just follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Everything's going to be at Watch Gauge. So,
is there an underscore at Watch Gauge?
No. It's just Watch Gauge, one word. WATCHGAUGE. Follow us. Take a look. It's going to be fun from our end. If you like watches even remotely, we're going to have some fun videos. I mean, I want to bring, kind of like you do with the podcast. This is the same conversation you and I are having on the podcast. The same conversation we have not on the microphone. Right? You're as real as you are.
I appreciate that.
No, you're the same exact person on while you're recording as you are not recording.
Yeah.
We want to translate that as far as Watch Gauge is concerned. We're regular dudes, man. We're guys who love watches, who happen to sell watches. So if that translates even remotely, then our goals are met, and we'll bring some cool, fun brands. And dude, I appreciate you have me. I still can't figure out why the hell you would have me, but I appreciate having me.
You got a lot of high recommendations last time you were on here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you did.
Right
you
on.
did. So
right
I figured I'd give you a little plug.
Yeah, I think I got one follower from it. Great.
It was my mom.
It was your mom. It was Miss Barron.
She's a nice lady.
Thank you, Miss Barron.
All right, so
thanks, brother.
Appreciate the fuck out of you guys. Obviously, this podcast is sponsored by Nerds That Care. We kind of gave them another last 15 minutes of the show, but that's the kind of shit that's out there, guys. It's no joke. And if you don't have a viable IT company, if you don't have people that are progressively working on keeping your environment safe, and this goes with business and anything like that, it could be pretty scary. You could lose your kids' photos. You could lose those things that aren't backed up. They should also be working on things to save you guys money, and that's part of the Nerds That Care's job, is to stay on that cutting edge, knowing almost everything there is. I mean, it'll be impossible to know everything, but basically know everything that's going on in technology. So appreciate the fuck out of them for sponsoring the podcast. Obviously, everybody knows where to follow me, Harrison_Barron, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Brutally Honest Podcast on Facebook. Oh, and I made a Paragon and a website. No, not a Paragon. Patreon. A Patreon. So if you want to support the show, and I didn't even tell you this. I should have told you this. As you're trying to sneak out. But so I made a Patreon. So anybody who wants to
donate $10.
Yeah, you can just donate. You can do like $1 a show. You can do $5, $20 a show, whatever it is. But any money obviously is mucho appreciated, and it doesn't go. I mean, yeah, it technically goes towards me, but it's literally going to go into getting better equipment, getting new equipment, getting better cameras, whatever it is. But it's going to be specifically geared towards making the show better.
I'll come back if you start paying your guests.
That's actually believe it or not, it's kind of funny. That's actually on not to pay them, but to.
No.
I was telling one of my buddies, I'm like, look, if a guest, I want to be able to pay for the guest's flight here if they're not from the state.
Oh, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. I don't want to pay them. I want them to come hang out because they're my friend or becoming friends.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to fly them in from wherever.
So when you get past guys like me and you're on to the big league?
Yeah, pretty much. You're a bottom feeder. No, just kidding.
Hey, look. Hey, I live a mile away. John, please come.
We'll still kill beers. But basically, just to be able to have those people that can't make it out here. So that's kind of what it's going to go towards, and it'll be going towards upgrading the room. So if you want to support, appreciate the shit out of you guys. If you don't want to support and you're just listening to the end, still appreciate the shit out of you guys. So on that note, Peace out. I think I got one more show coming up this week, and see you later.